It's our turn to die. We're slowly marching to our suicide instead of living. Tell me what to do instead of dreaming. Let me die for you. If I could see the darkness in our minds and their tainted eyes, I'd make it right. We're marching to the beat of genocide. We're killing at the whims and tides of a nation, fractured at the seams, breaking apart for the world to see. Break free from controlled reality and fight your way from this, to get away from it. I'm losing my mind, have I lost my sight? If this quicksand has gone over my eyes, how can I see anything? We're shadows in the current enterprise of institutions made to control your lives. We're inside breeding, concocting all the lies that we use to control your mind. Break free from control reality and find your way from this, to get away from it. I'm losing my mind, have I lost my sight? If this quicksand has gone over my eyes, how can I see anything?
Status check. Command on internal. Missile and internal DC. Pressurization complete.
Break free from controlled reality and find your way from this, to get away from it. I'm losing my mind, have I lost my sight? If this quicksand has gone over my eyes, how can I see anything? But I cannot find a better way from all the things that you give to me. Oh no, not I cannot find a better way from all the better things that you give to me. If I could see the darkness in our minds and their tainted eyes, I'd make it right.
Liberty Mindset. Come and explore some of the ideas and issues facing our liberty. 2022 is an election year. As libertarians, we ask that you consider voting in the Liberty Mindset. Welcome, and thank you for your time. All right. Welcome to the very first ever live broadcast of the Liberty Mindset. If I don't have any technical issues, I will be totally shocked. So a little bit of patience, and thank you very much for coming. Usually I have a co-host, Jimmy. She's not feeling well and won't be here with us. But I'm hoping we can have some conversation here. This is a conversation, Jimmy, I wanted to have with the vote coming up. And we're sort of questioning It's a question on how you decide to vote. And if you're participating from the web, a little hint I picked up about CallIn is up in the address bar where it says CallIn.com and gives the room information. You may see a little red microphone. If you're interested in participating, you may want to click on that and enable or allow microphone access through your browser. That's just a technical thing that I know a lot of people I've heard seem to have trouble with on this site. But today's question is to vote with your heart, your conscience, or to win. I know that sounds crass. To vote for a bad candidate, of which there are many, instead of voting based on your conscience. Let me be clear, I am not telling you to do that. I am here to share some opinions and hope that you will do the same. Here's my opinion, and then we'll go on to see if anybody's interested in talking or if they want to listen to me for a few minutes. Voting with your heart is a euphemism for doing what feels good. It's not based on any measurable criteria. It is what the socialists and fascists work really hard on trying to get you to do. How good would it feel to vote for this or vote against that? That is their marketing plan. Feel good to vote this way or that way. Voting your conscience is a little bit deeper. You may actually take a look at some things, decide some personal values in your life, and make votes based on those decisions. Again, nothing really wrong with this method of voting at all, okay? This is all about what works best for you as an individual. You have actually, if you're voting your conscience, chances are you've actually looked at the subject, you've tried to find honest information, and you've tried to come to an honest opinion. And the vote you put down there is the one that you feel most represents what you think ought to happen. Now, as the resident old fart in the Jimmy and Gregor show in 18, yeah, I'm really old. In 1989 to 1990, there was a three-way race for president between Bill Clinton, H.W. Bush, and Ross Perot, a Texas businessman. Perot got 18.7% of the national popular vote, even though his campaign was stopped and restarted halfway through. Okay. He was the third wheel candidate, and he was the reason, according to most analysts, why Bill Clinton won the election that year, because all the voters that voted for Perot were generally conservative. They were what we call fiscal conservatives. They were interested in trying to readjust the budget. That and, George W. Bush had also, quote, broken his promise with his read my lips, no new taxes, and then ended up raising taxes, and that's another debate. But Perot took a large chunk of his votes, and that's how the Clintons won. And now that I think about it, I didn't look up who the the next candidate was. I think I want to say Romney or somebody who went against Clinton, and it was like a pointless race because there was, again, it was just, the Republicans, of course, picked badly. But in 2016, I was older and wiser, and this is when Trump ran for president. Now, there's some things that a lot of folks don't know about about Donald J. Trump. He was quite the character in the 70s and 80s, 90s even. He had talked about running for president 4 or 5 times, and when he first announced coming down the escalator, I thought this was another one of those, yeah, really, okay, for sure, not, right? He's just getting his publicity, he's doing the things he does. But he ended up winning the nomination because, again, the candidates they had, not so much. So here I was stuck with a problem. I had a guy who I could vote for who I knew exactly the kind of president he was going to be. He was going to be divisive. He was going to be bombastic. He was going to have evil tweets. He was going to do all these things that he ended up doing. Or I could vote anywhere else. It ended up being a pretty close election between Clinton, which would have been the worst choice, and Trump, which was the different evil choice. Not necessarily less evil choice, but different evil choice. So I ended up writing in somebody because I lived in California, and there was no way that California was going for Trump anyway, but that was my logic. Then I come to learn a little bit more about some of the things that goes on in politics. And it turns out that the candidates that win try to figure out how they win to do it again. And the candidates that lose try to figure out how to win and do it again. They don't look at who you didn't vote for. They look at who you did vote for. So there was no influence with Prospero, even though he won the largest percentage of popular vote in history for a third-party candidate. There was no change in any other races where people came even remotely close. So my suggestion is vote for the least possible evil. Now, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to talk. I'm not interested in telling people vote this way or this way for this campaign because it is your vote. It's just the whole idea for me of voting your conscience or voting your heart gives you one reward. And that reward is you get to feel good. That's what you get when you vote your conscience. You get to feel good. Those are the results. Those are all you can expect. And that's my opinion. Oh, it says hosts are not taking calls right now. No wonder nobody's in the call line. So see, like I said, technical difficulties. One has to have all the knots in the row. Now it looks like callers are available. Okay. Anyway, so that's my opinion. It's voting for your conscience sake or voting for your heart. There's nothing wrong with it, and do it if you want. It's just understand that the reward is what you get, and that's the good feeling. And I see John's ready and waiting, so I'm going to hit take caller. There you go, John.
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I tuned in, I think, right at the right time. I think you just started talking about the show, so I heard everything you had to say, and I largely agree. You're onto something when you say that some of these ideas are just kind of euphemisms for do what feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think everybody means that exactly when they say like vote from your conscience, because I think the conscience can include some of that nuance that you're describing, and then perhaps for some people voting with their conscience, includes the understanding that there's not going to be a candidate that shares every single one of your values and would make all of the decisions as you would like to see them made, right?
Right.
I've heard it put this way. I'm pretty conservative and I'm a Christian, and one of my problems with people within my spheres is they go on and on about even your best Christian candidate is likely going to take a bribe here or there. They're going to lie. They're going to do something that dishonors God. But I know that when I vote, and I'm more in your camp where I'm not voting for God, right? I'm not picking my Jesus or something. I'm kind of trying to look at the board. It's like a big game of chess and go, well, which move right now gets us a little bit in the direction where we do want things? And so far, and I'm 34, in my entire life of voting, there's never been a single person where it was like the obvious, just this is the right move, right? You have to kind of compare all of the choices in front of you. And I do think that there is a best move. It's just a matter of landing on which one that is.
Mm-hmm. And and that is, at least that is towards my point exactly. It's you mentioned not voting for your Jesus or your Savior. Yeah, and there's only one guy that did that, and they killed him. Gratefully things got better after that, but it is such a terrible thing, and our country isn't. I'm a registered libertarian now. I registered Republican when I was 18, much to my parents' chagrin, who are both lifelong Democrats. I did it because I really believed that we were trying to follow the Constitution and restore the Constitution, and
Yeah.
and I've been proven wrong time and time again ever since then. Okay. And not that I hate the Republicans at all. I just understand that they're a party and that they are doing their own thing. And so when I moved to Oregon 6 years ago, I registered libertarian because it's like, well, I don't believe in anything that they do. And the libertarians at least give me space, though they may hate me after this episode. It really is a matter of how much good do you think you're going to do? I mean, we're literally trying to keep from fighting a shooting war in our own country, much less anywhere else. I mean, I know one of the things that just happened to me is I really wish there were some more of us libertarians on who are more involved, because I was listening to a podcast like last night, the Oregon Libertarian podcast. There's a fellow by the name of Will Hobson who runs that. He has it every Friday at 6 o'clock if you guys want to look into it.
Hmm.
There's always some interesting discussions on that. And whenever we've had disagreements, they've always been very cordial and professional. And, it's a good place to have a good civil discussion, I think. Hopefully I can make something like that happen here. But the thing they just did is they just underwrote, let me make sure I get the name right, because it's going to be Donald Pujols. He's the Green Party candidate for Senate.
Hmm.
And they just talked about endorsing him. And he has a fantastic anti-war stance, which I can't disagree with, right? I mean, I'm not a warmonger. I'm also been around the world enough to know that defense is important. I'm sort of split,
Yes.
have a dual mind. Yes, we need a powerful military. No, we don't want a powerful military, kind of thing.
Well,
But
my little bumper sticker view on that is, I don't think we should be in the business of waging war, but I don't think we should be in the business of losing war either.
yes, I don't want to start a war, but I'm happy enough to end it.
Yes.
And that's my kind of bumper sticker. But it's like I was shocked to find out that they'd actually said that they were endorsing this candidate because the Green Party are progressive socialists. That's what they are. It's their platform. And the first thing that came to mind is in 2008, George Walker Bush had a famous line people used to harass him about, that I have to destroy the free market in order to save it. And, to me, endorsing a socialist progressive is sort of like, for a libertarian, is like saying you have to destroy the free market to save it.
I'm hearing a lot of that kind of 4D chess talk from both sides of like the Republican Democrat divide now.
Meaning that you have to destroy something to fix it?
Yeah, so I've heard some conspiracy theories, and it's kind of interesting because I think it's in line of what I was just saying, which is voting with your conscience sometimes means pushing things in a direction that will get us to where we want it to go. It doesn't mean it's like the best. There's no clear best move. You have to figure out which the best move is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard some conservatives, and this is good caution, they said they worry that the Democrats want Republicans to win right now, because Republicans winning the midterms, that they will be, as a result of them winning the midterms, they will start pushing very hard for what they want, and that the Democrats can use that as a card come 2024 and go, see, now that the Republicans have the House and whatever, these are the ways they're making changes in their own states. Are you sure you still want that? Vote Democrat now in 2024.
Well,
And I don't know if that's true.
Well,
but if
and
it's,
I'm 100% positive what they're going to do is they're going to sit there and point to the economy in 2024, which will not have recovered because it will not have had time. And I have no faith that the Republicans will do what needs to happen to make the economy recover against the executive branch. And I don't mean impeachment. I mean like give Biden legislation that will start drilling again. Start doing things that will actually help the economy, and when he vetoes them, overrule him with the 3/4 or the 66% majority to overrule the veto. That's the kind of thing that would have to happen. If that started happening, I think we'd see a huge turnaround in the economy, but I don't expect that to happen. I'm smart enough to know that that's not going to be the way they work. But you're right. I think they want the Republicans to win handily, so that they can point to them and say, look how bad it was. And then I've read that there's expected to be an announcement for Trump on the 14th that he may or may not be running on the 14th. of
Well,
November. And
I don't have any reason to believe he won't be running.
I don't have any reason to believe he won't be running either. And the disgusting part for me is I don't want him to run because I don't like him for lots of reasons. And I have to admit that while he was in charge of the economy before COVID, a lot of really great things happened. You
Yeah,
know,
so it's tough.
well, I mean, he pulled us out of a lot of places that were embattled. The only places he didn't pull us out of are the ones they lied to him about. And that's not a conspiracy theory. Feel free to look it up.
Right.
They didn't pull him out of Yemen and other places because people said, "Oh yeah, we're pulled out of Yemen now," and they hadn't. I mean, and those people need to be arrested as far as I'm concerned. Or there's got to be some kind of charge that you can, or at least impeached, to get them out of the military or whatever. But and then his response to COVID to me was abhorrent. And he's still touting how wonderful it was, even though now we have actual research and information saying, yeah, everything we did kind of didn't do that much or made it worse. And, for me to be happy to vote for him, I need him to stand up and say, you know what, this is what I understood and this is what I tried and I was wrong. So here's what we're going to do next time. And he won't do that because he's never wrong. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but there's this idea of be very careful of removing the three sides of a triangle, else you don't have a triangle anymore. When it comes to Trump, I think the reason Trump was so effective is because of what makes him him. And any attempt to remove some of those things, because we're like, well, if we could just have Trump without, these aspects, well, then you might also remove what actually makes him, effective.
Yeah.
People like to say that DeSantis is like Trump minus the mean tweets and the self-aggrandizing and all of that.
Well, he's got his own issues, though. Everybody
Sure.
does.
And maybe DeSantis, in so much as he might have learned from Trump, I think he looks up to Trump in some ways. Maybe he will be strong and immovable in the ways that Trump was, and I like that. But I don't know necessarily if we're going to get a better candidate than Trump going against the Democrats in 2024. But yes, if you can give me that willingness and that ability to stand firm and say no to the left, like Trump has, in a different candidate, I will happily vote for them.
Yeah, well, and I'm with you too. And again, it's my thing is I have to vote for. It's a vote for me for whoever the Democrat isn't, that it can possibly win. And therein lies, to me, the caveat is that they have to have a possibility of winning, a strong possibility of winning. I know that sounds like I'm just a wish-washy kind of guy, but it's like voting for the person that cannot win under any circumstances is literally just acquiescing the battle. You're just giving up on the battle.
Yeah.
And interesting, I'm going to share something else on my screen really quick. Hold on. I'm going to, let's see here. How do I do this? Oh, I guess I have to stop sharing this. And of course you can't see it because you're on the,
Well, know that video is in beta. It'll be out to everybody soon.
oh, cool. You can also watch this if you want. What little bit I have, you can watch this on YouTube. I'm actually simulcasting on YouTube right now.
Oh, great.
And I'll be putting links in the show. So
here's a little tidbit, and full disclosure, I work on the iPhone app for CallIn.
Okay.
But
Thank
I
you.
use the app. Yeah. If you notice, there's like a single. If you go to more and hit edit room, you can add links right there, and it'll show up in the carousel in the room.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look into that.
A lot of people try adding it to the bio, which is fine, but
all right, I will try more and edit links. Okay. But I was doing some research for this show, and in 2021 of May, we had 1,898,000 and change registered voters in Oregon. 53.1% of those were Democrats. 37% were Republicans, and the balance was other. As of October 22, we had 2,976,000 plus voters, so 1.1 million increase. in voters, but only
Mhm.
34.5% of those were Democrats. 24.56% were Republicans, and oddly enough, non-affiliated, which in Oregon means non-declared party. Okay, it's not like some party. It's just these are definitely. I'm with nobody.
That would be confusing.
Yeah,
We're the unaffiliated party.
yeah. But the non-affiliated party is 34.69%, so it actually surpassed the number of Democrats. Now, do I think there's not people in there who are Democrats? Yes, I do. I think there are. But the point of the matter is, this election is going to be decided on what us independents voters, those of us who are not Republican or Democrat, decide, because the total of other parties is 41.39%. Neither party can win without us, and that is the secret. Now,
Right.
again, one has to live with oneself. And so how you vote is entirely up to you. Again, I was just offering one way to look at it. I think we're going to close out pretty quick, John, and nobody else is coming in. Did you want to finish something?
No, I just thought it was a good topic. Thanks for
Tony,
bringing
thank
it
you
up.
for joining me. I really was hoping to get some hateful vitriolic people in here telling me how wrong I was, so we could have a decent discussion. And I'm kind of at a loss what to do when nobody disagrees with you. Those are the worst kind of parties, if you ask me. However, having said that, I'm going to pop over here to my closing statement, if I can find it, and then I will close out. And thank you very much for coming.
No problem.
And just for everybody who's listening, if there's anybody who listens to this later, you can also you'll be able to find this both on, as I said, on YouTube at the Liberty Mindset YouTube channel, or you can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, all the usuals. Those should be up there by about, I would say, Monday-ish, or the latest, maybe even today. But right now, I just want to say that, he says as he finds his closing statement, technical difficulties. Thank you for joining me at the call-in episode. Your vote is yours. It's not my place to tell you for whom or who to vote for. My only goal is to stimulate thought. I just ask you be honest about what you get out of your choice. If you vote for feelings, those feelings are your reward. With Oregon being a 41.39% unaffiliated and other party voters, those votes are the ones that determine the result. For the first time in decades, the Democratic Party is not the largest in Oregon. Unaffiliated is, not by much, granted, 0.6%, but that alone is telling. In the end, you have to live with how you vote. That is the most important thing. Make a choice this election you can be happy with. And as always, seek truth and stay curious. Thank you for joining me.